Recording. All right, so here we are, October 27th, 2021. Things are moving along. We are moving just at the right pace to get to the completion of this year and experience all of the things that we are supposed to experience in order to get to the place that we cross that threshold into the realization of what side are we on? Are we on the side of freedom and faith, or are we on the side of safety, security, and having somebody else take care of us, which is all about giving up our power? So we're picking the side. Are we the creators of our reality, or is somebody creating a reality for us? And that distinction is going to become more and more evident as more and more people get clear about what's happening here in the world, and we see more of the revelations of that which is of the ego. We have to see it. We have to see it to recognize we don't want that anymore. And then, of course, once you recognize you don't want that anymore, you've got to acknowledge, well, we created it. If you're on a journey of awakening, you got to take responsibility for what is, because we are the creators of our reality. We are the divine beings, holy and expanded, who choose to contract and enter into an individualized physical experience. And that's what we do. That's what consciousness does. Consciousness is expanded and contracts. It expands and contracts. It is light experiencing the lack of light. So it is light and it appears as darkness. It is God and it shows up as devil, Satan, ego, whatever you want to call it, which is nothing more than an absence of light. How dark can we go? How much can we block love? How much can we not be what we are? Let's go as far as we can. But the furthest that you can go is just to block the light. That's all that we can do. And on this third dimension of existence, that feels very uncomfortable. It feels like a contraction. That's exactly what it is. We're brought into this tiny idea of ourselves. In that tiny sense of self, we are scared. Those who have a tiny sense of self but become arrogant think that their tiny little self has the power to rule the world. And of course, in the world of physicality, where we have co-created this idea of money and have made money be the value, the worth of money that has been all made up, gets assigned to your self-worth, then you think that the more money you have, the more you're worth. So the bigger you think that you are. But to create that illusion that you are made more, you're made to be worth more because of what you have, has to come from a mind that has blocked the truth more and more and more. So then those who get their worth from money get to control those who feel they're not worth much because they don't have money. And those two groups then need each other. They feed off of each other in the darkness. One thinks they have what the other one needs to survive. And once this one thinks that this one has what they need to survive, they will sell their soul because they don't want to do without the safety that they believe money brings. Those two groups are plugged into each other in a very low vibration. And that's where, as it says right here, suffering happens when you operate in such a tiny sense of self, where lack exists as a potential reality, where separation exists as a potential reality. And when you believe that potential, because God is infinite, it's infinite possibilities, the potential is unlimited. So when you operate from a tiny potential, I'm my money and I need somebody who has money to take care of me, that limited sense of who you are makes you very scared and it makes you easily controllable. And those two groups gravitate towards each other. That's just the way it goes. What we are experiencing is the opportunity to wake up and observe the madness so that we can unplug from that which no longer resonates with one who is beginning to remember that what we are is the creator of our reality, that what we are is the one who thinks, causes the world that we experience to begin in our mind, and then we project it out so that we can see it out there as the place where we get to act out this human experience. And the best analogy, and really the one that is so perfect for this, think of God as a screenwriter. And it, she, he, whatever you want to call it, he, they, them, whatever you want to call it, has created a beautiful story. And in that story, each character gets to have an experience. So when you realize that you are a character that has been written into a script that God has created, and you get comfortable with that you are playing a part, but also realize that this book, this story is alive. And with the free will that God has written into the character, we can choose which voice do we listen to. As many of you might be familiar with the story, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Are you Dr. Jekyll, or are you going to play Mr. Hyde? Are you going to listen to the voice of love or the voice of fear? Are you going to know that the power is in you and you're going to share it? Or are you going to believe that the power is outside of you and you've got to take it from others? Inside of the script, we have permission to ebb and flow according to whatever's in front of us. We get to choose in every now moment, do I expand or do I contract? Because for thousands of years, we have been using our free will to contract and have this experience on the 3D planet as a 3D being that is physical as our primary reality. We have literally created for ourselves a very disconnected perspective about our place in all that is. We don't even really understand fully what God is because we've been conditioned to put God outside of us. So we don't remember that God is inside of us. And if God is inside of us and it is the creator of the script that we are living inside of, then we have access to rewriting the script. But to rewrite the script, you must accept that you're made in the image of a creator to create. And one of the things that we're going to look at today as we read this section inside of the Course in Miracles is that if you don't accept responsibility for being the cause of the experience that you have, you're basically saying you don't have power over what's happening. When we say we don't have power over what's happening, if we like what's happening, we like to take credit. Oh, yeah, I did that. If we don't like what's happening, we like to blame. Oh, they did that to me. When we are confused about where power lies, meaning that we cause all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, once we do the work of understanding how the mind got programmed into our disconnected sense of self, we heal the past belief structure that we picked up based on our childhood, and we can begin to correct those misperceptions, those lies that were told to us, handed down generation after generation. The biggest lie of all is that God is outside of us. Then, the next biggest lie is that we're separate from God. So if God is not outside of us, then God is clearly inside of us, meaning we must be one with it. So lots of different beliefs have to be looked at. And of course, all of those beliefs that created the lies that had us little by little lose our ability to reason, logically reason. If we're energy appearing as matter, why is the only thing that matters our physical side instead of understanding the energy that reason tells us is really what we are and where we came from and what we must always be. So as we lose our ability to reason and truly understand what we are, because our mind gets conditioned into limited thinking, we little by little descend into an incredible journey where we are co-creating the script of separation. Today, we're going to continue in chapter 27 in the Course in Miracles in the section called The Healing of the Dream. And this particular, sorry, that's the chapter, The Healing of the Dream. The section is 7, which is called The Dreamer of the Dream, where we have been studying how we are dreaming this dream. We have to wake up. Now, while we are on this planet, on Cycle Planet, when it's run by the ego, we are always going to be dreaming a dream. What we get to do is, are we dreaming? This is where free will comes in. Are we dreaming from a place of contraction, thinking power is outside of us? Or are we going to wake up in the dream and have a lucid dream, if you will, where we are dreaming that we are connected? We are dreaming the dream with awareness of truth so that we can co-create what the Course calls a happy dream. So to become enlightened is nothing more than to acknowledge the light that is already inside of us. As a matter of fact, the Course in Miracles says that enlightenment is not a state that you achieve. It is rather a recognition of what you already are. So what we are doing is realizing enlightenment is, oh, I am the dreamer of the dream. Light bulb moment, turn the lights on so that I can see what was before dark to me. And it was only dark to me because I needed to move it out of my conscious awareness so that I could fully play the role of being one who became completely contracted. We choose to have a physical experience. We choose to think that we are just, Laina, that I am just this insignificant little aspect of creation so that I can play that part full out. You can ask any actor who is good at their craft, and they will tell you, I get into the character. I live, breathe that character while I am filming, and I completely, in my home, I am that character. I behave like that character. I think, I talk like that character to stay in character. That is what we have done. We have been given a role and we are in character. So our work is to turn the light on, have a light bulb moment. Ah, yes, I'm playing a role. I'm playing the role of Laina, defined as a woman, defined as Latin, defined as this, that, or the other, so that I can have this experience. I couldn't have the experience of the life of Laina and have the children that I've had, the spouses that I've had, lived where I've had, if I was playing the character of Vern. If I was playing the character of Vern, I would be contracted into the life of Vern. But to play the character of Laina, I am contracted. I have to block out all other possibilities of being Vern, of being Mother Teresa, of being, Gandhi or being Hitler. I had to block that from my mind as a possibility in a world, in a universe of infinite possibilities. So the Creator created a role for me that I incarnated into this planet to play. So when we don't like our lives, pushing against it, judging it, blaming it doesn't change that that's what we chose to experience. It just makes us unaware, unenlightened. Our mind is dark to the truth of how powerful we are. So to recognize that you're the dreamer in the dream is the only way to heal the dream. Only way to heal the dream. So before we get into, and we left off after paragraph 5, we're going to start with paragraph 6. Before we get started with paragraph 6, I want to just touch base with you guys. Number one, see, how are you doing? How are you living A Course in Miracles? And by the way, last night we had our Living A Course in Miracles session, which was absolutely beautiful. Jody, you were one of the people there. I love it if you can share a little bit about just your overall experience. You don't have to give details of what we went through, but your general experience with what was it like for you to be there for those couple of hours.
Yeah,
the other
I
people
could.
are not here.
Yeah, I would love to jump in and share. Because actually, I was thinking about doing that. I was going to actually reply to your text, so I'm glad you're and let everybody know. Actually, if anybody wants to actually embody and feel into the truth of who you are, and get out of the mind part of it, it's really powerful. It's really intimate. It is an application of these discussions. So it's the magic of Laina, of you, Laina. And it was just really getting to sit into that peace and the truth. And I encourage everybody to go. It is just amazing. So that I mean, I guess I can't put it into words. But it's really, if you want to get engaged with this versus, coming to these calls and listening, it's just really a way to expedite being in the moment with all of who we are. So that's it, really.
Well, thank you so much for that. It is an experience of the Course in Miracles where this is instruction, information that is integration. So totally, completely different experiences. And it's only $20 to spend a couple of hours looking at where are you not living the Course in Miracles? Where are you not embodying it, as well as having an experience of what it feels like to feel the truth in your body. And every week is different, but it's similar format. We start with a meditation. We talked about what's going on in our lives, and then we apply the material. I use different graphics. Last night I used one that touched on the chakras and how the chakras align with consciousness and with ego. And then we complete with a meditation. So it was that's the way that one works. Very, very about having an experience. So thank you so much, Jody. And of course, our other partners are not on the call today, or I would ask them to share their experience as well. But now, anybody who would like to share, how are you experiencing life right now in the midst of the topsy-turvy stuff, with your alignment to the truth that the Course in Miracles wants you to experience? How are you putting this into practice? So just unmute yourselves if you want to share. And if we're not going to have a share, yes, Christo, go ahead.
Put this on, yeah. I'll go into the role of being a pilot.
Ready for takeoff.
Ready for takeoff. I remember when you were talking about Dr. Jekyll and Hyde several years ago. I was feeling compassionate for people who have that challenge of have these different roles, and I suddenly realized I'm one of them, especially when I'm driving a motor car. I'm totally transformed into this heckle, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm a different persona. And once I realized that, I totally relaxed and was able to observe myself and change my driving patterns completely. Having opinions about the person cutting in on me, or this and that, or totally a different persona that I was playing. And it just happened automatically from over the years, just creating that persona. And once I dropped it, it still hangs around, and it wants to come in every now and again. Whether one wants to call it, give it a personality that's observing for a chance to trip me up. But I'm totally clear that it's I can be myself when I'm driving and when I'm outside my car, and it makes such a huge difference to my whole pattern and emotional well-being. So and of course, being more aware of ego with these sessions just accentuates the connection within more, to stay on target with the inner connection, and observing these patterns that want to come in and interfere and be predominant. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that example. And are you able to work on your persona as a driver when you have a backseat driver like me in the car?
I was thinking of mentioning it, but now that you have,
That's where the test comes in.
that comes in. That's where it accentuates the fact that it still is hanging around, and whether that's the personality of the navigator being stimulated as well, who knows?
Absolutely, and that's the tests come everywhere. But let me expand a little bit on your example because it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. But you said when you get, behind the wheel, you're driving, you create the persona. That persona is a limited sense of self. When you could be the soul that you are, that is unlimited, and you zero in into a contraction, I am the driver of this car. What the ego is doing, it is focused on the car. My car is worth so much. I feel so good about it. I got to protect it. I can't believe that jerk almost hit me and dented my beautiful Maserati or whatever the car might be. The persona that is identified with the car also is identified with its own life. Where do I need to get to? I don't want that person blocking me. I don't want them making me late. I don't want them getting in the way. I don't like that they have a nicer car than I have. I feel so bad about the car that I drive when I see it in comparison to the other one. We have to shrink ourselves, contract our mind into a very limited sense of self in order to have that experience that activates suffering. And the process of beginning to identify all the different personas that we play. I played the persona of wife, of mother, of realtor, of PTA volunteer, of tennis player, of successful business person, of community, a pillar in the community who is always involved and always doing things. My mind was always so busy in my contraction, getting by with life. You're basically just getting by because your mind is so busy always trying to figure out which persona do I need to play in front of which person. And the person at work doesn't see the crazy mother that my children saw. The crazy mother that my kids saw, they never understood the persona of the very confident and successful realtor that I was. My clients did not get to see the incredible athlete that I was on the tennis court, the skill that I had in tennis, the ability, the agility that I had. They didn't get to see that. I was only showing each person what I needed them to see based on my belief of who I had to be for that to work in my favor. For me to get what I needed to get out of it, I put on the mask. And those personas, we write those into the script. So God creates a script. You're going to be Laina in this incarnation. And then you write a whole bunch of different scripts for yourself. And you're playing them out as subscripts inside of the big script. And what awakening is all about is looking at those subscripts like I'm the victim of my father's abuse. I am abandoned by my mother. I was, beaten up by my uncle. When we begin to look at all of those subscripts that we have written and we begin to see that that little script took on a life of its own and became who we think we are, as we begin to pull power from that by healing our reasoning for creating that persona, we little by little come to the place that we drop the mini scripts and we own who we are, the divine being playing this role so that we can play it full out with joy, go with the flow of what's happening, connecting to reason, connecting to love, and then moving into the place where the light is turned on, that we can see clearly what is happening. We can own what is taking place, but you become one person, one being, fully integrated. Expansion comes from being one. Contraction comes from splitting ourselves up into 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 roles. I mean, it's crazy, but the more roles you have, the more contracted you are, the less of you is present because you have fragmented yourself. So it is a journey about bringing all of these pieces back together, but they have to be healed before that fragmentation ends. So thank you Crystal, for that comment that you shared, because it did open the door for something that's going to be very applicable to today's conversation. Miss Latanya, thank you for being here.
Hello. Trying to get this video on. Hold on. All right. Hi.
Hello.
I have come to the point where I have been entertained at the things how things play out for my life. They're for the good and my benefit. And it's like, well, let me sit down and watch how this is going to happen. Because being that I've let go, I feel like I'm no longer in control, because God, you have this. You have this. And then when things fall into place, it's like, oh, it's not a surprise, but oh, you did it that way. I never would have thought, that would happen that way, but I'm okay. I'm still okay, So I'm just having a ball out here in the void.
Yeah. That's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I'm having a ball. And I never would have thought it would have been that way, because in that previous life, I would have been pulling out my hair, trying to figure out what am I going to do, stressing out. And I don't have time. We're not meant for that. I don't think.
No, we're not.
Not meant for stress.
No, we were not. We were not created for stress. Ego teaches us how to deal with it and how to, think that it is somehow making us more successful, making us better, helping us. But we were not created to stress. We were created, as the Course in Miracles says, with one purpose, and that's to be happy. It's in our constitution, because that was channeled information, that was guidance that was received directly from God, letting us know, not only are you all equal, not only do you have eternal life, so how do you want to live this particular life? You have liberty to choose how you want to do it. And your purpose is to pursue happiness. And here's the beautiful thing about this incredible writer, God, creator of the script. It is literally creating a script for us so that it can experience all that is through us. But the script is always intending to expand into infinite possibilities, more adventures to experience joy. But in the script is free will, that we can deny ourselves the expansion and go into contraction. And the ego has so many different ways that it achieves that, by beginning to shut down our abilities to connect with God, number one, then shutting down our ability to feel intuition, our ability to feel our heart, and shutting down everything that expands us, until it has us feeling that we are so scared, so afraid of the world, that through our aggressiveness, be it passive aggressive or overtly aggressive, we are protecting ourselves. But all that is doing is bringing us into lockdown, making us feel more and more caged in. That gives the ego a false sense of safety, which is how we can be manipulated. But when you are caged in, that's also when the rage of a caged animal that knows it shouldn't be caged, it should be free to roam, begins to activate in some of us the desire to break free. What you're talking about, the void, is really that line. The void is when we have to empty ourselves out of how the ego wants to do things and begin to open up to, well, how does God want to do it? God, what would you have me do? And the void is the not knowing. And it is very uncomfortable to the ego, but it is very satisfying to the soul. It's a vacation for the soul, because it is finally being given an opportunity to be heard. It's been talking all the time, but nobody's listening to the soul, to the voice of the soul consistently, because we have the desire and then the ego shuts it down. We have an inspiration, the ego shuts it down. So the void is a beautiful place to be. Congratulations when you have awareness that that's where you're unpacking. You're literally in a state of honestly gathering the stuff of the ego and getting ready to send it packing. Get it out of here. We're going to empty out all your belief systems, your limitations, your strategies, your manipulations, I'm going to empty myself of the old way of doing things, which means you have to get comfortable, surrender to not knowing, but where you're surrendering to is the source that knows all of it, knows everything, knows the way the script ends, because it knows exactly how much more joy is possible for one who is free. And it knows all that you need to know to navigate your way into your highest and most joyous expression. But we have to learn to trust a voice that before we have been taught was there to punish us. So we got to learn to trust God. We got to learn to create a new relationship with God, who has been unknown to us, because what we knew about God was that it was on a cloud and it was angry like Santa Claus, depending on if we were naughty or nice. So we don't know God. So we got to get to know the unknown God, and then it inspires us into the perfect path with synchronicity to the most incredible life that in this lifetime we're here to play and enjoy full out. Thank you, sister, for that. Love, love, love that. All right, let's go into then paragraph number 6 inside of we are in chapter 27. We are looking at Course in Miracles, my favorite teachings that I have found. And of course, there are more that have been channeled by Jesus. And next year, I'm going to do a 1-year program for those who want to go into using another book. And it's a path. It's a journey of really embodying the teachings of Jesus. It's a book called A Course of Love, which is a follow-up to Course in Miracles. And I'll put out information for anybody who wants to do that. But that is a real committed program, because it is 1 year, and we're going to do it on Zoom, but we will have a couple of retreats throughout the year. So there will be some weekend activities where we get to come together to integrate it more. All right. So through the first 5 paragraphs, we learned that all suffering in the world is done by us. We've got to get comfortable that we did it to ourselves because we didn't know any different. So we listened to the voice of the ego. We have come to realize that we always thought that we were the victim of something else out there who did something to me. And now we're understanding that we are being shown how to escape the insanity by recognizing that we are the cause of what's happening here. We have to accept that power. Then we realize that we absolutely need to wake up. It is a real need. Understanding the dream and learning how to escape the dream is the most important need that we possibly could ever have, because if we were not in the dream of separation and the dream that causes suffering, we wouldn't need to escape anything. We would be in paradise enjoying everything. So we need to get to the place that we recognize this world that we see, all of these mandates, all of this tyranny, that is not of God. If God is the God of expansion and freedom, how can anybody who's attempting to control and mandate and condense and contract people, how could that be of God? When that clicks in the mind, wait a second, God says, go forth and have fun. And president says, no, stay in your house and social distance and don't be with anybody that you love. If you're going to be here doing something good on the planet, you contract yourself. Well, once you realize what the ego says and what God says, you begin to see, oh, this person is speaking for God. This person is not. This person is talking from their ego. This person is talking from the Holy Spirit. And what most of us, if not all of us in this group, those of us who consider ourselves patriots, warriors for truth, whatever you want to call yourself, it's another costume. You begin to listen to those who speak of liberty. That is the key right there. Anybody who speaks to liberty, to freedom, to faith, and to defending that freedom no matter what, is one who has aligned, if not completely in a state of love, even in a state of fear, has aligned with the truth because inside we know we were meant to be free. A lot of people are realizing that they're meant to be free because they're moving towards enlightenment, that are meant to be free, and they're experiencing a lot of anger. They got a lot of pride. They're going to take down anything that gets in their way. And that's okay. Let them. That's okay because they're moving out of contraction. There are many who are experiencing the level of acceptance. I'm in total acceptance that what is happening because we chose. The creators of their reality who chose to go into contraction and control, they're playing the roles full out. They're helping me see what I no longer want. So I get the contrast and I'm in gratitude for them. There are beings who are way above me, who are experiencing total peace and joy. They probably don't even watch the news because they know in their heart of hearts, they are sitting somewhere in a beautiful temple. Maybe they're in a beautiful home by the ocean, knowing all is well because they have that direct guidance to God. Wherever you are on the journey, here's the key. If you're moving towards the light, you know that freedom is your right, period. Regardless of how you are dealing with it, doesn't matter. Anybody who is moving into contraction needs safety. They're willing to sell their soul for safety. But the safety that the ego can offer is always a safety that requires that you give up freedom. It's not a safety to be free, it's a safety to be enslaved. Think about that for a second. If we are going down, listening to the voice of the ego, we are descending into that root chakra place where we need to be protected. We need somebody to give us our food, give us our shelter, protect us, because we're operating from a very immature aspect of ourselves. We haven't, as Maslow says in the hierarchy of needs, we haven't come to the place of sufficiently caring for ourselves, finding our self-worth in order to do what is best for us, trusting the guidance of God, operating from intuition, and moving fearlessly through the world to achieve those things. One who is not expanding into their infinite potential is contracting into a very small potential that eventually can be snuffed out. Yes, those who move more and more towards their safety comes from an external source of power. In many cases, we saw this in Germany. We saw what Hitler did. Will give up their lives because they were not listening to God. Therefore, they cannot experience life, liberty, and happiness. They have to experience death, misery, and of course, total lack of freedom. They gave up their freedom. Right now, you are in a beautiful place of deciding, are you going down? And this elevator can go down pretty low. Or are you ready to go up? Are you ready to go to the rooftop and from there take off and help co-create something that is so magnificent? It's never been. We don't have conscious awareness of what is possible because we've been living in the unconscious awareness of what is. So accepting our mind as a creator is to clear out the cobwebs that have been clouding our imagination so that we can receive the inspiration from the infinite creator that wants to write into our script the path to joy. But the path to joy cannot come if we're on the path to judgment, to blaming, to shaming, and all those things that are just not of God. But God doesn't punish us for that because we have the ability to choose to block anything that is of God. That's all we can do, block what is the light. And God does not judge us for playing in the darkness, but it does give us a roadmap out if we're willing to listen and then be humble enough to accept the path that is being given to us. All right, this is paragraph number 6. So the part you play in salvaging the world from condemnation is your own escape. Listen to how powerful that is. The part that we play inside of this movie is the path that is going to help us escape from where the contraction happened. So whatever inspires you to read this book, to go to that workshop, to listen to that speaker, to search YouTube videos and to land on this one versus that one. As you follow the nudges towards what excites you, towards what feels more inspiring, more expansive, as you follow that path, you are literally moving in your own escape, because the world of condemnation is the world of the pressures that have been put on us, that we bought into. When I say put on us, even though we're the creators of our reality, we have created that we're powerless and experienced others being in control who have been programming us. So your mind has to be wrapped around, I created being programmed by others. Yes. One of our most recent talks, we talked about paradox. You receive programming, which sounds like you're not the creator, but you created the experience of putting yourself in the place of receiving the programming. So you created somebody else doing something to you. When you can accept that, instead of continuing to condemn them for what they're doing to you, you begin to hear, how the heck do I get out of this? I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. And you begin to speak to wanting something to change. Father, even if you don't say Father, God, or whatever, if you just say, oh my God, I'm done with this, you can say it to the wall if you want to. You're speaking into creation your desire of ending the very thing that you feel has been condemning you, sending you into a world of suffering. Your choice to not experience that anymore begins your escape, which is so beautiful that we have to give credit to our desire to not want to be where we are. And then our work is to follow that intuition to lead us out of, planet lockdown. And we're going to have to go through all of these layers of beliefs that cost our sense of feeling contracted. But the way the journey looks is like this. Let me get a little marker and I'll show you the way the journey looks. And it's not pretty, and I'm sure you guys will all understand, but we start going up and then we go back down, and then we go up and then we go back down, and then we go up and then we go back down, and then we go up a little bit and then we go back down. Does that look familiar to some of you? It was definitely my path. It was up and down, very jacket, up and down. And in the highs, I could feel like I went to the top of the mountain, I could see more clearly. And then boom, I listened to my ego and I descended down. But you never go down below your lowest point of awareness once you make the decision to ascend and expand your awareness of all that's possible. You only fall down to the last lowest level that you were at, because once you realize that you have another way, you will not settle for being in your disempowerment for very long, because you now know what you left. And you may go down close to it and you go up, and you may go down close to it and you go up. And each time you build a new base camp as you are rising up to the top of that new mountain that we're climbing, called Escape Mountain, our consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. So sentence number 2 says, forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. All right, let's break this down. Forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. We can say here, why would there be a need for evil? Well, the need for evil is nothing more than a desire to experience what it's like to block God, to block light. If you want to experience all of your infinite possibilities, one of the possibilities is to go as far into blocking light as you possibly can. That looks like making yourself completely unavailable to love. That's what evil is. And if you take the word evil backwards, is to live, which means you deaden yourself inside. You disconnect yourself from love, from life, from liberty. And when you're disconnected from the truth of who you are, you have no choice, because it's the only path going down, to take others with you. And the one who has the most power in this world, which is all about money, this is why the Bible says you can only worship two masters. You can only worship one of two masters, the God of love or the God of evil, the God of money. Not that money is evil, but when you have power and you believe your worth comes from money, you become evil, because then all you want is to get more, because you're so contracted that you really think that you need more to satisfy you. There's never going to be enough to fill the hungry little monster that your ego has made you think you are. So we have to understand the need for evil. And this is so important. I cannot stress enough that you stay open to what I am about to share. And notice where there's going to be resistance to this. Depending on where you're on your journey, lots of resistance to this, hardly no resistance, and you will say, yeah, Laina, I've come to accept that. This is part of how we escape, is to recognize that we needed evil, we needed darkness to show us how to appreciate life, to show us how to appreciate God, to give us the contrast necessary for us to say enough with that. You know, we play Monopoly, and we are excited to play the game of Monopoly, unless we play with a person who is all about how I'm getting all the money on the board, I've got all the hotels, I've got everything, and they become so evil because they're operating in what can I get? That's where you see evil. What can I get? It's all about me. And the one who gets then gets and is never satisfied. Notice how many times you play Monopoly and you're playing with people and you're the one winning, and you actually say to somebody, oh, don't worry, you don't have to pay me the penalty, it's okay. You start playing that role of the one with all the hotels, and you become vicious, especially if you have Boardwalk as one of your properties and you've got hotels on it. You want people to pay, you want to see them suffer and give you all the money, and it's all play money. Monopoly is no more than a game that we play that is exactly to the game of life that we play. How much money can I have? How many properties can I own? How much can I hoard? Because all of that comes from a lack of awareness that you can always create all that you want to create. So the need for, in Monopoly, for somebody having all those properties is necessary to have the contrast of all the properties, because the excitement of the game is to try not to land there. Oh my God, come on, give me 4, give me 6, give me 10, so I can skip it, so I can avoid it, so I can land before it or land after it. We've all played that game. And if you haven't played it, play it. It's really interesting. It teaches you about the insanity of the ego. So there is a need for evil, because we have to go as dark as we possibly can go while we forget that we are the creators of our own reality, to force us into the desire to really live. When we enter this game, incarnation, we get numbed out. We become, to little by little, be numbed to the possibility of living life fully. As children, we do that, but little by little, we're conditioned out of doing what we want and into conforming to what the world wants from us. And that numbing out is a deadening of our soul. That deadening of the soul needs to receive the rock bottom that you're willing to go, to wake it up, to make it want to live again. On this planet, we need that. On the next level, when we play the dream in the 5D, we don't need to go to evil to appreciate the light. We did that in this school. 3rd grade is right here, the 3D planet. When you move to 5th grade, you don't need to do the same exercises you did in the 3D planet. You do 5D planet, 5th grade exercises to continue your ascension. So we have to wake up and recognize that evilness is needed on this planet. It is part of what gets scripted into your own journey. So let me read this again and see if this makes sense. Forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. Do not speak about the problems in this world until you recognize that we needed that problem to make us do something to bring us into the solution. The 3D planet is a planet of using our physical body, our intellect, to create solutions. That's what happens here. We devolve into the illusion of separation. We need solutions to bring us into a place of expansion and connection. Yes, Vern. Let's get you here too. There we go. All right, go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm just here. I'm here now. Okay, yeah. So I'm not offering a contradiction to what you're saying, because I'm totally aligned with the process, the whole system, the way it works, everything else. But where I've come to it now with my life, there for a long time, I believe that the system was put in place as a journey of spiritual unfoldment, that we come in at a certain point, and then we go through all of the lessons and the teachings and that, and we have the grist for the mill. We have the challenges that we encounter with the understanding that we will learn. And as we unfold, where I'm at this point in time is that I believe that part of God, that unique part of God, as we all are a unique part of the whole of everything, that I've chosen to do this. In other words, it's not like that is my truth is basically this, is that at that level, I use the word moment, but that's irrelevant because we're talking about time. But at the moment that I was created, basically, I was given free will, and it's the free will that allows me to design the process of either going to direct manifestation or direct creation, as long as it's aligned with the whole. In other words, that the creation comes from the idea of actually creating, to evolving, to moving things beyond. But I chose from free will to not do that. I chose instead to go into this experience that we're talking about right now. So I guess what I want to say is that, and words are tricky. We all know that. Even the concept of evil, live spelled backwards, and I understand that. You see, where I'm at is that I don't think that the whole, the universal power that is there of everything, I don't think that there is a necessity to experience a contra, to experience something to rub up against, a resistance of some type, in order to create something. And I believe that that's where we're at. The other part is that I'm getting pretty clear now for myself that if I can live my life and have it as having the human experience, that I can have that experience here and now, and I can experience the physical world, three-dimensional world. I can experience that, and I can create on this level, and this experience, without having to create a conflict, a contra for me to experience or for me to learn from. This is just, it's where I'm coming from. So I'm not pushing against what you're saying. I understand the system. I guess for me, I have to take the ownership. It's sort of like, I used to say, God doesn't make any junk. Okay. But I can sure do a lot of making. I can create a lot of junk. God doesn't create junk. And what that does is it goes back to that total freedom, total responsibility for me. I don't believe that the source created a system for me to go to school to learn things, to unfold from. I came from the point where it's sort of like everything was given to me all at once, unlimited ability to create and add value and to cause the whole to grow and expand. I've chosen to go through this experience, but I have to own all of it. In other words, it's not like, and I don't think you were inferring this, but when you said it, because I've gone through this mental thing myself, is that, okay, so I created an experience or wanted an experience that not caused a person to do certain things to me, okay, so I could learn from that process. I kind of feel, Laina, I might not be making myself clear on this, I kind of feel it's almost a trap to think that, okay, so in order for me to learn, I've gone out and caused certain things to happen on the physical. And then, of course, the idea that I own it, absolutely. Whatever, I'm a 1000% clear right now that everything that's going on around me right now, that I'm perceiving and experiencing, it's all about, I've done it. I have total ownership in it. And the thing is, I can continue to feed that, or I can focus my energy, and we've talked about this, about creating what I really desire, what I really want. The only thing is that the answer to all of it is yes. I can create without having to have a contrast. I can create as long as what I desire to create is about the whole, about adding value to the whole, that everything benefits from it, that whatever I'm creating is adding value and it's causing things to grow and to expand. But if I don't do that, then I get sucked in to a lower level of myself that decides to play this game. So I don't know, I might not be making sense right now. I'm speaking off the top, but I'm really working. I'm doing a lot of work on this myself. These areas because again, the other day, what I did is I spent about 4 hours watching TV. Not TV. I watch everything on the computer, and I watched some people speak that I've had issues around, the things they're doing, not doing. Okay. And I sat there and I watched somebody talk, and I realized, okay, I'm perceiving what's going on right now. I'm perceiving this, but I'm also creating what's going on right now. So I'm observing what I'm creating. This person in front of me, okay, has the same power, has the same authority, is going through the same thing that I'm going through right now. Identical. But what I wanted to do is, as I'm listening and I'm watching this person, I'm consciously making the effort to say to myself, even as I'm listening to them talk, you are experiencing a mirror back to you about what's going on and what you believe, not what you talk about, but the belief system you've created and you're working from right now. This is about you. And as I'm doing that, it's really interesting because the energy is not about, well, that person, I hate that person, they shouldn't be doing this, I want them to do this, but that, all that stuff now, okay, is settling down. And I'm saying, okay, this is what has been happening. I'm observing what is going on. I have total ownership of everything. What do I want to do? And then what I have to do is just be peaceful, sit back, turn it off, and then go inside myself and say, okay, now what's going on? What are you feeling now? What is the next step here? What do you need to do? And I've been doing that on a regular basis, a little bit time looking at that kind of stuff, going through the feelings and emotions, pulling back, taking ownership in it. And what's really interesting for me that I'm finding is that I do have ownership in it. I can see it, but I also know that that is not my final destination. I really realize that I need to clean up all of the stuff that I've created, that I've sent out. I need to clean it up. It's not like I'm not even like I need to learn lessons from it. I need to clean it up. I have to do two things. As I'm experiencing what's going on, I need to clean it up. And at the same time, I need to begin creating. I need to be able to take the power and create and add value to what I want. It's not either or, it's both and. And by taking and reducing, by cleaning things up and by adding more value, I'm getting to one energy, and that's what I want. Because where I'm at right now, I'm not done here. I am not done here. And in other words, I don't need to go someplace else. I just need to live here as I really am, as what I really am. And because that idea of going someplace else after, I mean, like, believe me, I bought into that for years and years and years. So I'm sorry, I'm taking too much time. I just watched myself. I'm just talking. Sorry. That's it.
No need to apologize. Yes. And we don't go someplace else. We raise our own consciousness while we are here, because we cannot not be other than where we are, and consciousness is where it is.
Right.
But you know, it's yes, it's language. You can say you're not here to learn lessons, but your awareness that you have to do these two things, that it's not either or, you have learned that. At some point in your journey, you must have pushed against the one and you realize that it's the two. So there is a learning, there is a shifting in consciousness. You can,
Well, it's a detox. I'm detoxing at the same time I'm taking in new energy. In
yes.
other words, and I'm using, and the body is the perfect, I mean, this is becoming, okay, let's go to raw physicality. Everything that I believe of what's going on is all registered in my body. The net of where I'm at on a physical level, I mean, on a physical level, is the net result of where I'm at and what I've created and what I really say I want and willing to do. So I'm detoxing. I'm spiritual enema is going on right now. But at the same time, I'm realizing that, okay, because I said in the past, let me clean this up and then I'll do this. Let me get cleaner, and then I'm going to go out and do this. No, it's both. You're doing both at the same time. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that is where the life experience has taught us. Again, we don't have to use the word lesson, but we are realizing that there is a process of learning through choice, through contrast. When one thing is not working as well, you try something else. And through that discernment, it appears that we are here in school. And the Course in Miracles is very clear. Everything is a lesson God would have us learn. So I do use that language because it is, I'm teaching from the Course in Miracles.
The question becomes, this is the tricky part. Who creates the lessons? And this is where, for me, it really feels, I believe I create the lessons as that unique part of the whole. I don't believe that God is there saying, okay, I'm going to create these lessons, and then Vern's going to go, and Vern's going to have experiences and learn from that, and he will unfold, he will evolve.
Well, if I'm not,
that's,
if I'm saying God did this for you, then please forgive me. That's not what I'm intending
That's
to
what I'm
say.
saying. I don't believe you're saying that. I'm just saying
Okay.
that that's kind of where my mind is going on some of this stuff as I'm
Okay.
talking to myself.
Okay. Okay. So the course is really clear. We are the creators of our reality. This entire section is if there is something happening in your life that you do not like, you placed it there, you called it to you, because that is how you're going to see. Are you going down and descending into hell, or are you taking deliberate and conscious command of your vehicle, your journey, and you are ascending towards the truth of who you are? So no, the course doesn't say anything is happening to you that's not caused. The course is really clear. Every one of us is creating this, which is why we are here, to learn how to not continue to do what we don't want to do. So it is a process of learning. Whatever words you want to use, everybody, please, if you don't like the word lesson, if you don't like the word challenge, if you don't like the word school, come up with a word that allows you to feel comfortable that this is a journey of contrast between dark and light, love and fear, up and down, zigzagging or straight. You get to decide how you experience what is happening, because the greatest gift all of us have is free will. But the creator that created us as a loving parent that loves unconditionally does not mind if you want to dabble with evil, does not mind if you want to zigzag, does not mind if you want to stay in this experience and contract your mind so that you suffer a lot. It doesn't mind what you do. It just sits and waits in the light, because it cannot contract itself. It cannot make itself not available to us.
Right.
It just stays until we are ready to take more of what it wants to give to us. So let me read in sentence number 3. Thanks for your share, Vern. So appreciate that.
Okay.
Sentence number 3 says, and let me read the second sentence number 2, because this will make sense if you hear it right after sentence number 2. All right, so for sentence 2, forget not that the witness to the world of evil cannot speak except for what has seen a need for evil in the world. Contrast, we need a contrast. And this is where your guilt was first beheld. I'm going to read the next couple of sentences, and then I'm going to come back to that, because that is a very confronting sentence. And if you don't understand how guilt plays inside of this game, where we choose to forget the truth of who we are, we choose to keep our light on throughout the entire journey, you will not be able to get out of this insanity. So I'll come back to that one, but let me read it again. And this is where your guilt was first beheld. In separation from your brother, from one another, was the first attack upon yourself begun. And it is this the world bears witness to. Seek not another cause, nor look among the mighty legions of its witnesses for its undoing. They support its claim on your allegiance. What conceals the truth is not where you should look to find the truth. Powerful, powerful information. So I'm going to try and make the most of the short amount of time that we have left. We may have to come back and do a little more unpacking if needed next week. But this sentence, and this is where your guilt was first beheld. We need to recognize that we all carry a major obstacle to awakening. It's inside all of us, and we all have to face it, and we'll only face it when we're ready to face it. Course in Miracles gives us 4 main obstacles that we have to encounter. Guilt is one of them. When we begin to recognize that we're the creators of our own reality, once that dawns on us, depending on where you are in your journey, and guilt does not show up until you're pretty high on your journey, because it requires that you have your light turned on, so that in honesty, you can look at it and say, yes, I have this guilt. It's a very subtle guilt out of our conscious awareness. But deep down inside of us, we carry the guilt of having created our own evil, of having been cause of evil in this co-creative experience. We cost it for others. Now, again, stand in the paradox. There is no other. We are one energy. There's an experience of separation and there is another. There's Vernon, there's me. But there is no Vernon, there is no Laina. There's only one consciousness. There's only God, source, spirit, creator, energy, whatever you want to call it. This one essence that expresses itself as all that is. But all those separate, seemingly separate aspects of all that is are one with it. So in our ability, and this is where the Course wants us to understand the power of our mind, in our ability to think, to imagine, to let the thought move in our consciousness of what would it be like to be other than what I am. That's it. That's the thought that all of us have played with in order to experience this sense of separation. What would it be like for me to not be one with all that is? What would it be like for me to just be white? What would, instead of all the colors, what would it be like for me to just be black? What would it be like for me just to be female as opposed to the masculine, feminine energy that is what oneness is? What would it be like for me to be male? What would it be like for me to be tall? What would it be like for me to be short? When we make the decision, what would it be like for me to be other than all of it? We start the journey of contraction. We are condensing ourselves from our awareness, accepting we are one with all of it, to our awareness condensing to extrapolating one little piece of the infinite possibilities and just be that for one lifetime. That means that the mind has to shut itself down. It has to create veils of forgetfulness to block itself from access to being all that it can be at any one given time, which is what it is. So the layers that we are removing are the layers of forgetfulness. These are the obstacles that we put in our way by the belief. What would it be like for me to not be everything? So here's how we put obstacles in our way. I made the choice to come in and play the role of female. The obstacle in my way, I was born into a society that is male dominant. I was born into a patriarchy. I was born into a Latin community, into a Latin environment that really elevated men. Men they can get away with anything, but not the women. So I chose to be a woman. So then I am facing all of the obstacles that appear to be inside of the grander script of humanity, because that is a norm that is acceptable. Now, I could have put more obstacles in my way, and I could have chosen to be born in the Middle East, where the women are even less than they are in Latin countries, where you're less than an animal, where you have to be covered up, where you can be stoned to death. Well, in the Dominican, we don't stone people. But in other countries, that happens. So I chose to enter into my life experience through that portal. So I absolutely wanted to experience what it would be like to find my wholeness, to return myself into balance, masculine, feminine energy in alignment, because I enter through the choice of one side versus the other. So the parents that allowed me to have the greatest contrast came in the form of a father who had been, emasculated by my mother. My mother wore the pants in the family. So not only did I come in with this idea that I'm not a man, I'm a woman, and then be born with my father disappointed that I wasn't a man, that I wasn't a son. So I had all those obstacles in my way. Those are the layers that got put in my path as I descended. I'm not a son. I've got a dad who doesn't show me what a real man is. I've got a mother who acts like a man. Well, then I must become a man. So all of these things were obstacles placed in my way that, of course, gave me, thanks for joining us, Vern, gave me the opportunities to face the layers of beliefs in my mind that I needed to say no to. I needed to say, no, that's not true. That is not wholeness. That is not all that is possible with me. That is not where I get my power back. Because each time we operate with a limited perception, we're disempowered. We don't have the whole deck of cards, so you're already disadvantaged. So when this says, and this is where your guilt was first beheld, in the moment that we said, I wonder what it's like to not be what I am, there was in the back of our mind a little bit of guilt. Like when you go eat that cookie that your mom told you not to eat, you enjoy the cookie, but in the back of your mind, you got a little bit of guilt because you know you shouldn't have done that. Well, that little bit of guilt is like this little grain of sand that is in the background, always present, but we don't acknowledge it as something that is going to help us escape the illusion. We cast it out, we project it out. You're guilty, you did this to me. So instead of, Dad, you were showing me what it's like to have an obstacle in terms of part of my lesson. You're a man, you're not a manly man, and I'm not a man because I'm not a son. Instead of seeing it as, oh, you are helping me see something that I wanted to learn, what it's like to be not loved for being a woman. If I would have only been a man, I would have been better off. Dad, you helped me see that. Instead of that, my guilt, oh, I did this to myself, was cast out. Oh, you did this to me. So when we begin to see that the guilt gets projected out, blaming everybody else, you did this to me, is a way that the ego creates a veil, an illusion that we can't get our lessons. We can't return to wholeness because of you. I can't find my power to heal myself because you gave me a bad injection. You poked me in the arm with this jab and it has poison and now I can't heal myself. It's your fault. Or, oh my gosh, I caught this thing. There's this bug flying around that came from China. I caught it. I need you to save me. I need you to heal me. So when we say something out there has the power to hurt me or to heal me, we are projecting our unresolved guilt, our unacknowledged guilt. That is one of the tricks that the ego uses to keep us disempowered, because if the outside has the power, you will never be able to work your way out and escape the illusion of powerlessness. When we're descending into hell, we do have to give power away because you're creating your story. You're building up the play. You're building the momentum to have a wonderful movie. There is no movie that any of us would pay any money to go watch. Well, maybe at some point we might, where you walk in, the family is perfect, everybody's happy, all they do is happy stuff, nothing ever happens to them, it's just happy. They're at the pool, they're at the beach, they're happy, the house is clean, everything is it's happy. And then you leave the movie and it was happy. You stay flat the entire time because it's just pure joy. Oh, joy. Oh, more joy. Yeah, sometimes that could be fun. And we do that when we play with our kittens or our puppies. But life is the ups and the downs that give us the contrast. And the most exciting movie is the movie where we get to be the hero of our movie. We get to bring ourselves out of the mess that we got ourselves into. Because it's fun, because it's just exciting, because it's what happens on the 3D experience. And part of embracing how powerful you are is accepting that on this planet, this is the experience that happens here. If we were in a different galaxy far, far away, our experience would be different there. But we are here. And Course in Miracles is giving us the rules to how the script got created so that we can begin to, with our free will, accept that we created it, stop feeling guilty, that you separated from God by stopping blaming other people for what they did to you, start accepting that you're the cause of your experience, start harnessing your power again, and bringing yourself to the place that you can say, If what is before me is not something that I'm enjoying, what must I change inside of me to begin to enjoy this experience? And when you are ready to enjoy the experience, you will be inspired with the next right action. And Vern left, and he loves talking about action. We will be inspired in this planet where we have physical bodies to do things that need to be done. And then the joy of being here and assisting humanity, bringing our brothers and sisters that are one with us, all want to remember, everybody, it's built in every one of us to the desire to remember. Maybe we don't want to remember in this lifetime. Maybe in this lifetime, we want to play the script down here. Maybe in this lifetime, you came in this far, and from here, you're going to go up to here. But another brother or sister is playing the script differently. It is our work to get straight that we're all one. Got to come back to the truth. We're one with all that is. The source of all that is inside of us. We express ourselves as individual aspects of it. That's one of the first truths that we have to get comfortable with. I and the Father are one. And in my seeming state of separation, I must be one with you, because it is energy just playing different aspects of itself to learn to love itself. When we get to the place that we realize we're one, the process of guilt begins to come up. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just did that to, that brother or that sister. I can't believe that I deliberately hurt that person. You begin to become resensitized, not only to your power to affect change in this world of appearing separation, but you have the power to forgive yourself. And the only way to move through the guilt that you caused, this entire experience is happening from you. Your vantage point is giving you everything that you need for you to learn to love it or hate it, to love it or fear it. Inside of you, that's the point of power. When you can begin to see what is happening. So for example, this guy, Joe Biden, or Brandon, as some call him, this guy is playing a beautiful part in our movie. He's giving us the opportunity to see what happens when we don't have checks and balances in this thing that we've written into the script called government. So how can that change? Well, I have to be the change I want to see in the world. Am I being inspired to understand the rules within that game? Am I willing to understand that I can affect change in that area? Am I being inspired into work in the political arena? But this person is saying that now we've got to take this medical mandate. Am I being inspired to do work in the medical area? Am I being inspired to work in the education area? Where am I being inspired to assist in the bringing all of the brothers and sisters back together? Let me stop here because I don't want to take us too far. We'll definitely have to come back and revisit this. This is too short of a period of time to unpack what guilt is, even though we're going to get into more of it as we continue in this particular chapter, this section specifically. But let me open this to everybody. I want to hear from you. Is what I am sharing making sense? Are you getting some clarity? Or are you getting maybe more confused because of what I'm sharing here? I want to hear from you. LaTanya, tell me, what is your experience with this information?
Well, it's actually prompted more questions for me. The thoughts that I've had were, so are we, little gods with flaws now? I know God doesn't, I don't think God has an ego, but we as little sparks of gods, we do. And that in that little sense, we're, I don't know, I'm thinking we're flawed, but in a sense, we're okay as, creations of God. And another question I had was, are we creating when we go upstream? That's a question that, that popped in my head. When we go upstream and things are easy, are we still creating that? Yeah, that's where those are the questions I came up with.
Yeah, so let me address them separately, and you'll see how in a way they go together. So God does not have an ego because God is light. God is just extending. It's infinite potential. Ego is a block to that. We block the flow by our thoughts, by our ideas. God doesn't need to block itself because it's not in odds with itself. It is all that is and accepts that it is all that is. We block ourselves from the awareness that we have that all that power as well at our disposal. And by believing what we have been indoctrinated with, we are accepting the blocks, and that's what ego is. So for example, think about the little beavers in the wild. They have the river flowing, and actually the way I want you to think of this, going downstream means to go with the flow. That's what God does. It has the water flow easily down. So the little beavers, they've got the water flowing for them. It's working on their behalf because it's bringing them the food, it's bringing them all kinds of things. But because they cannot capture all the food that they need because it's flowing downstream easily as God created it, they go, and their way of having an ego, if you will, is they chop down the trees and they drop them and create dams. So the beavers dam the flow of the water. They're not bad, but that's how they have the experience of being able to catch their food, have whatever it is that gives them, a place to live in. So the beavers are a great example. God didn't create the dam, but it created the trees that could be chopped down to make a dam. God didn't create an ego, but it lets us think whatever we want, that when we bring those thoughts together, we can dam our mind from other ideas. So if you think you're just a woman, you can't be masculine, feminine. You can't be both energies. You can't be the energy of oneness playing this role and enjoying that role. So kind of think about it that way. God does not create an ego. God did not create dams. But in our physical experience, we can block for what might seem to be a useful experience, to block ourselves from remembering we're all of it if we want to have an experience of just being a singular being like Laina. So there's nothing wrong to having an egoic thought system if we use it in service to love, if we use it in service to God, to play my role as a woman, while at the same time I know I'm all that is, so that I don't lose myself in a relationship with a man because the belief is that they are superior to me. If I don't damn my mind with that lie, then I can be flowing downstream with my journey of being a woman and enjoy being a woman and do all that feels good and natural to being a woman. So going downstream is what God wants for all of us, and we do create that. It's part of the script that God has for us. God scripted downhill water for the beavers, but also God scripted big teeth for the beavers to cut wood. God scripted for us to have the opportunity to be male or female, to have an individual body, but we can block our journey going with the flow of life if we choose to think in a way that is not what God has designed, but God permits all designs to be possible. So lots of things have to be considered. We have the ability to do whatever we want. God doesn't cause us to think dangerous things, but we can think dangerous things because God is infinite possibilities. And inside of thinking dangerous thoughts that cause us to hurt one another, we also have the ability to heal those dangerous thoughts by letting them go, forgiving ourselves for having it, and just don't think it again, and it is gone. Because there's nothing solid in the universe, it's all mental. If our thoughts are cleaned up in the believing that differences of color is bad, we would have no racism. It would totally be eradicated because it's a thought, it's not a creation of God. That becomes the block. If woman is better than man or man is better than woman, that's a thought. God didn't create that, but we can think it. But once we stop thinking it, it's gone. It's gone. So tell me if that helps or confuses or,
Oh, it helps. It helps. It cleared it up.
Very good. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Any other thoughts, comments, or suggestions around that topic? And we will definitely come back and pick up there because, oh my goodness, that is such an important area. Yes, Christo.
I think this is all just such a beautiful reminder. I mean, of the recognition that we are all sparks of God, and that we come in perfect, 100% perfect, to choose the clothing that we want to wear in this lifetime for the lessons that those clothings will teach us. And of course, big challenge is that I forget that's the case, and I'm being reminded, you know, by the fact that, you know, Rumi says it so perfectly in one of his sayings, where he says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. So that tells me that love is all around. We are love, and all we need to do is work on discovering the barriers that are in the way of us being 100% of who we are. Anyway, that's
beautiful.
so many.
Beautiful. And the barriers are just thoughts in our mind. When we cease to believe them, they cease to be our reality. It's that simple. When I ceased to believe that there was something wrong with me because I wasn't a boy, I ceased to have an issue with being a girl. It's like it disappeared. It went away because it wasn't real. It was made up. That's what you know, we've all heard that fear is, you know, false evidence appearing real. I was afraid I wasn't a boy. I'm not going to be loved because I'm not a boy. Well, that was false evidence appearing real, because the true evidence is I'm all of it, playing this side. So enjoy this side fully. Laina, so glad that you're here, and so grateful you joined us in last night's conversation. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience last night? The next Living A Course in Miracles, because we're going to do them on Tuesday evenings, the 2nd and 4th are going to be on Tuesday, let's see, in November, it will be the 9th and the 23rd of November. Those are going to be the 2 times in November that we will do Living A Course in Miracles on Tuesday evenings.
Yes. Okay, so it's interesting how I get so much out of today. It's just, wow, just keeps unpacking and packing. But last night, it's diving deeper and really getting into it from more of my personal experiences and what I'm going through and what I'm actually unpacking myself. So last night was such a pivotal shift for me, because I was fragmented and all over the place. And even though I hear these things and it's resonating today, the class it helped me to get deeper within and look at the ego. And the ego is so insidious that and you think you got it all figured out, but you have really helped to deepen my understanding and helping helping with my process of ascension. So that's just a little bit about last night. So it was awesome. I had a wonderful evening and slept so well. The meditation was fabulous. I slept great. So yeah, it was
good. Yes, that's experiential. That is, how can I live, embody what we're learning? And this is learning, filling your mind with truth. The other one is about how to feel that truth in your body so that you embody it, you align with it and make it your truth. I am so grateful, all of you that are here with us, and thank you so very much. We will see you next week. And I'm just going to let you know that on November the 17th, it's a Wednesday, I'm going to be traveling. And of course, I'll remind you closer to that. We won't have one of these. We will skip it just because it's right in the middle of my travel day. And it was the only day I could travel because it's the day my daughter was able to travel. So anyhow, it's exciting stuff too. I get to go hang out with my grandson soon. Next weekend, I get to go visit, not this weekend, but the one after that. Thank you for being here. Remember, you are magnificent. You're the creator of your own reality. And if you can create, why not create with joy, with love, with collaboration and cooperation? Go downhill. God did not put obstacles in our way. We put them there by believing things that are not true and limiting ourselves. And anyways, thank you all so much. If everybody will unmute themselves, and let's just oh, Kat, good to see your beautiful face there. Thank you so much. Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
All-
beautiful. Thank you for today. It was very timely. They all are,
Oh.
but very timely.
I am glad to be of service. We'll love you all, and we will catch you at the next class.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Laina. Bye.
Bye.